I'm going to give you some context behind this now. Now the question is, how do I get the money, right? So sponsors, we developed a program to train our sponsors on how to reach out and connect with investors, along with the way that we were doing it. And then we just decided, who cares? Let's just teach everybody. And then later on, I might say, hey, I'm using your tactics to bring you money. Perfect. Or I've had people call me and say, Rick, thank you so much. I'm using tactics to raise money for my business, and I'm doing it, so that's awesome too. So here's what we're doing. If you remember in the very beginning, we talked about having a portal, an investor's book of business, where all of these leads go through this funnel that begins a follow-up process with emails, phone calls, to get these prospects interested, so that ultimately you show them your private placement presentation or the joint venture. You guys remember that? And we nurture the relationship and grow it. So, if you remember, the list stage, you connect with friends and family members of your personal list. As I'm talking about you starting it from scratch. So your personal contacts of people that you might feel are potential investors. I gave you a hint yesterday too, that some of the larger money is going to come from people who have self-directed IRAs. So you're overlooking people already. I can assure you, you're overlooking people already. Because you're going to find later on that you have a lot of friends who have IRAs or 401ks that they can convert to a self-directed IRA and bam, you're tapping into $500,000. Easy. It happens. Okay? The way that you connect with them, because the Securities Exchange Commission says you cannot advertise in the public to get investors to come in. So the way you do it is by creating webinar presentations, live commercial events, or what we call private tea parties, where we go to their house and we sit down and have a conversation. Okay, that's what you should be doing, is bringing these people, inviting them over to a setting where they're being educated on what's going on. Notice how I am not offering you to invest in me and showing you numbers and giving you a perform on deal. I can't do that by law. But what I can do is educate you on what I do and how we do it, and later on, when we start talking, we can then actually start discussing the investments. So that's one of the tools you can use. I'm actually doing it right now as I speak to you. Is that cool? Absolutely.
There's also a tea over there in the corner.
It is tea, so we do a tea party right now, right? So this is with your A-list. The other portion is, I have some names in here still in the presentation, and some friends of mine that are a part of it, is you get movers and shakers. Some of you want to know how to get that. These movers and shakers, by the way, are the ones who are going to be the sponsors for you to raise the capital, because they're movers and shakers, they have contacts, and they make more money bringing you contacts than they do having to do all of the work themselves, right? What do you find? Residential commercial mortgage brokers are great sources who deal with clients that are getting loans who have cash. A lot of times, don't they get personal information from these investors? Yeah. Absolutely. So you think they know what's in your bank account? Do you think that investors are going to listen to them if they say, hey, I was talking to another client and you mentioned to me something about this? Absolutely. So that's a great source that you can find. Luxury and investment real estate agent and brokers. Why? Because you're dealing with affluent people. Primarily, most of those people that they work with are accredited investors. So if you build a good relationship with a real estate agent that deals in the luxury market, you can also tap into some of the contacts. They might invite you to a dinner and say, hey, let's have a conversation about your program. You guys with me? You can go to real estate investment groups, even though lately that's kind of watered down because these groups are just selling DVDs, so you just got movies coming. But you can still network. You deal with commercial note brokers, high-level networking events. I've actually gone to certain events, and this is kind of how it worked. I went into this like yacht club party thing that was going on, and I was invited in there. Half the people I couldn't stand, they were just so ugly. But in the trip, we're hanging out on this yacht and talking to people. I got to sit down with this guy, and very down to earth, and I just started talking. Hey, what do you do? And he just said, oh, I do this, and I have a business, and I'm very reserved. I said, well, that's great, man. Well, I like to offer people value. So what kind of clients do you want to do it for? So he's like, well, I typically look for this and this. I said, great. So if I come across somebody that meets this kind of criteria, what should I say to them? So he looks at me kind of crazy, like, what the heck is this guy saying? Right? So, but he tells me, this is probably what you want to say. Okay, perfect. All right. So, do you have a couple business cards? Because I might actually bring along some business and pass it out. You guys remember the card pickup trick? Start applying it. Next thing you know, I'm leaving, and I find out later that this guy has over $5 million in liquid assets. He's an investor, and all it came was just a little hangout that we went to. So, you can find people like that. So what do? You go there and say, give me $5 million? No. You go in there and cultivate a relationship. You refer business to them and say, hey, remember, we're hanging out at the yacht club? Yeah, how are you doing? You're doing good. Hey, I talked to somebody who might be interested. How do I connect them with you? Should I send them an email with your information, or do you guys follow what I'm doing? So now I'm building value for them, and that's the key. You build value for them first, and the business comes after. You with me?